No. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Before we get started, for the second time this morning, I need to be the big, bad, awful person and say you're really not supposed to have any food or drink in here, but I'm going to have water because I'm dying of thirst. So if you do have food or drink, if you could just put it under the table and like if you need a drink, just take it up, put it down, something like that. But there really isn't supposed to be any food or drink in the computer lab. And I'm really not an awful person. I hate rules. And I try and avoid them as much as I can. But anyway, and it's not time. Is it time? 4 minutes. Are y'all having a good time? Everybody's having a good time? So I just spoke to one of my friends from downstairs that works in the COD. You all know there's the resource lab down there, and that if you have any in-depth questions, you can go down. COD folks are down there ready to help you, walk you through your school information. Yeah? Do you all know that? Everybody's looking at me like you haven't a clue. You don't have a clue. Thank you. So downstairs, there's a whole bunch of tables for the Department of Education. You can go down and talk to people about your EAP, your Program Participation Agreement. You can go down and talk to the COD folks. You can walk past the long line of Ask a Fed and keep going down and to COD down there. And if you need more in-depth information about COD or want some help, there's a bunch of people down there that will be more than happy to give you a tour of COD, help you with your issues. So just go down and have a visit. So you go right down outside out here and just go down the escalator like you're gonna go to the big conference room or like you're gonna go get some lunch, but just keep walking down where you see all the tables. People can answer your questions. There you go. Anyway, I was talking to one of them there, and he went to this most interesting place that I will probably never visit for dinner last night, where you could get all innards and stuff. And so he had brains, and yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, you know, the name of it, I don't remember the name of it. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I live around here, so I actually am driving in and out every day, and we went to Taco Bell, and I'll take Taco Bell. But I'm sure that it would be good to try if you like to try different things. You all had a much more calm dinner last night, or not as adventurous maybe? Yeah? Okay, I think it's about time. 2 minutes. But did he shut the door? Nope, door's still open. While we are waiting to start, how many of you would consider yourself a COD novice or beginner? There you go. So my colleague, Christina here, said that she thought the presentation was really good yesterday, but I wasn't happy with the presentation I put together. And so I had a suggestion from another colleague in the back about just doing a little tour. And because we have so many beginning people, and this is not a beginning session, so I'm gonna do a little 15-minute beginning tour, very high level overview of what's in COD. And then we'll get into what you saw that was posted online. So what I'm gonna show you for like the first 10 or 15 minutes is not posted online. I have no intention of posting it online because I covered some things up that I didn't make permanently covered. So anyway, if you want more in-depth information about the tour, then go down to the resource lab and they'll be glad to tell you anything and everything you wanna know about COD. And on your evaluation, which I know you guys will all do, and you'll just say how much you love Barbara, please say next year, I need a beginning session. I want a 2 or 3 hour how to do anything and everything I wanted to know in COD, and I'll do a beginning session. It's just we have such a mix that I can't just always do a beginning session, okay? Let's get started because surely it's time to start by now. All right. So this is COD hands-on. If you think you're in NSLDS, then you missed it, and there will be another one tomorrow. And we're gonna go over to my little COD overview here. And there we go. So when you log into COD, the very first thing that you should see is the welcome page. we put messages on that welcome page to alert you about things. So when you log in, if you see a little hyperlink, that lets you know that here's some new information that you really need to know about. You'll notice at the top that there are all our menu choices. You can go look into a person specifically. Oh, I forgot to tell you why I have a sweatshirt on. You all know it's School Spirit Day, right? So I didn't go to Georgia Tech, but my grandson, he's going to go to Georgia Tech. So I'm going forward here. But anyway, up at the very top, you'll see that you have different menu choices: person, school, batch, award, services, user. You guys don't have program. This is my login, so I have a little bit different. And then support. And you'll also notice down at the bottom that you've got some different links. Contact us is something that's important for you to know about, as well as COD resources, which we'll cover towards the end of the session today. And then help. So we're going to go, first of all, and look at the person menu. When you go to the person menu, there's lots of things you can do. You can search for a particular person by entering their SSN or a portion of their last name, first name. Or you can actually do counseling searches here from the person menu. You can look for entrance counseling, for direct loans, for teach, agreement to serve. You can do an MPN or ATS search. You can also search for all your PLUS applications. If you have PLUS loans and you want to see a list of all your PLUS applications or look for specific ones. You can look for endorsers, credit checks. You can also do a default search from here. That's something new, and we'll look at it a little bit more in the person menu. If you enter any of those there, you're going to have to enter the Social Security number, name. If you actually go to the person menu, then you'll see, once you're into the person, you can also find some of that information directly by going directly to it. So if I have already entered an SSN, and then I wanted to look at that person's MPN or promissory note, I would just click on promissory note, and it would actually bring up the promissory note for that person. If I wanted to see their credit check, just click on credit check, and I would see that person's credit check after I already typed in their SSN. Something new at the very bottom is default search. If you want to see if a person is in default, do a person search, hit default search, or before you do the login, you saw on the previous screen that you can hit default search and then enter first name, last name, and I think date of birth and SSN. Also, another thing, I showed a foreign school the other day. She said one of her students, and neither one of us can really figure out why, one of her students has a $20,000 loan, and they made a $120 payment. Why would you make a $120 payment on a $20,000 loan while you're still in school? I have a guess. I'm thinking maybe it was an interest charge or something, and she thought she was doing that, but anyway, she made a payment on the loan instead of paying her interest, and it totally threw them off. If you go to additional eligibility, you can see any payments that your student made on their loan while they're still in school, which might give them additional eligibility. It's pretty cool. And I'm pretty rustly here. There, okay. If we go over to the school menu, and I've already searched for a school here, best to always search not by school name, but by your school OPEID, because you want to make sure you get, there could be multiple schools with the same or close to the same name. Once I'm in the school menu, very first thing you're going to see are your officers and your contacts there. I covered those all up for this school, but you want to make sure that you're keeping that information up to date, because we use that information to email you and to call you. So please make sure you keep that up to date. You can also change your default program by clicking either Pell or your default year by clicking the drop-down box for the default award year. And every time you go to anything in the school menu, it will always default to whatever you chose for that particular session. This first page also lets you see at a glance if you have any cash greater than accepted and posted disbursements older than 30 days. So if you're out of compliance, right when you log in, you can check this and see, oh, goodness. In this case, this school has a negative amount, negative $1,048,231.23. They actually need to draw that money for Pell. If you have a negative cash greater than accepted and posted disbursements, that means you need more cash, right? And of course, that's how it would work with Pell, right? Because you report disbursements, and then the funds are made available for you, and then you draw them down. So you might frequently see a negative amount. If you see a negative amount in an older award year, that shouldn't be happening. So you're unreconciled, and you need to get that taken care of. Okay? I didn't cover anything on I could do this all day long. Okay, really quick, because I want to get to our real lesson. So on the left-hand side, there's some options that you guys are not able to see. We're working on returning general, so I'm going to make that a note to my colleagues in the back again. We still need to get schools to see general, which is something we took away a couple of years ago, but we need to put it back. Funding information. If you come to my recon session, which will be right after this session, up in one of those really big auditoriums, we'll get more into reconciliation, but that's a great place to go and see what your funding information is in more detail for your school. Cash activity, you can also see your draws and returns in more detail, the information from G5 that gets shared with COD. Your yearly totals is a great place to go. If you have an auditor that comes in, wants to know how many Pell students you paid last year or direct loan students, it's got a list of your total aid for the year as well as how many recipients. So an auditor comes in, how many Pell recipients did you have for 15-16? Go to the yearly totals page and it will tell you how many unduplicated recipients for Pell. It's a great little place to go. We have another place right down here, if I can do this, at the bottom where it says File Share Messages, which is where if you ask for a report from your COD customer service representative, we can go ahead and upload a report there for you that doesn't have to be password protected, and then you just log in and get your own report, and it's a really great tool. Okay. Next menu choice is batch, and there's also a lot of options that you can do from the batch menu. You can search for batches by date range or and we're going to do that in our lesson here today, as well as by document ID or by SSN. You can also go to the action queue and find all your pending disbursements for all award years and all programs. It's basically an ad hoc tool for you. You can go in the future and do, hey, I've got how many disbursements am I going to have for the month of December? So you've got your pending disbursement list, export it to Excel, and you've got an ad hoc pending disbursement report that you can run anytime you want to. Or you can use it to go in the back and say, I want to make sure I've cleaned up all my 15-16 records, and so I'm going to do a date range that goes from today's date back to 2014 sometime. And anytime you have any pending disbursements for the 15-16 year, you may not have cleaned that up yet. So the action queue is really a great resource for you to use as an ad hoc reporting tool. You can also request your PLUS applications. You can go to report requests. Sorry, I skipped that one, Christina, thank you. And that's where you'll go, and we're also going to do that in depth in this session here, where you'll go to request Pell reports or direct loan reports that are delivered through your SAIG mailbox. Okay. The reporting place for you to go to get the reports that we post online is in the services menu, and you'll go ahead and click the hyperlink there, and that will take you to another website where you can download all your reports. This is an example of a school's direct loan news box. So these are all the different reports, including a weekly report we put up there called the School Monitoring Report, which lets you know if you have any unsubstantiated cash or if you've had any POPs. There is a POP report, which you can also get from the Pell news box. So if you haven't gone into your school news box to look at your reports, that's one thing we're going to do in this lesson here today. Direct Loans also has a direct loan actual disbursement list, which is also really useful. So please make sure you're checking out your news box. We also have another menu choice called the support. This is where you can go if you are having trouble at your school with, you don't know how to solve a particular problem. You can either open a ticket right through the support menu, or you can look up one that you've already opened as long as you put in the case number. And this is a great tool for you in case you don't want to call. You can just open your own ticket, or you can manage the ticket from here. Did you know you could also chat with your CSRs? You can chat. I was shocked because I said, once we start chat, everybody's going to, who wants to talk on the phone when you can chat? Because you can do 50 other things at the same time, right? And if you're like my husband, then you chat with the dish people all the time, so you're trying to watch a show and he's chatting and they're trying to fix things and you keep having to turn it off. But anyway, that's another story for tomorrow. Ask, if you see Wood Mason, who's my husband, ask him about chatting with Dish, because he will love to tell you all about that. Anyway, this is where you can come under the support menu to either open a case or to search your cases and see when the resolution will be happening. Under the COD resources section, which was on the bottom menu when you log in, there's COD resources. We have a bunch of stuff listed. Especially I want to bring to your attention, if you're setting up a new user, you might want to see what type of access you want by looking at the user role chart. If you want a customer service representative to make a change for you, you'll need to sign an authorization form and either fax or email that to them. We have some reports, the year-to-date, the recon. If you get it in a flat file format, we have some readers that are posted here for you, that if you download that reader and then you bring in your Pell year-to-date or Pell recon report through your SAIG mailbox, pop it into that reader, it immediately puts it into an Excel spreadsheet for you. And I really do mean immediately. It's so fast. It's really cool. We also have direct loan ones, which are posted a little bit further down. The SAS disbursement detail on demand, we have instructions. And we also have the reader for that as well. The other tool that I think many of you may overlook is the COD processing update. That's updated at least once a week, but it alerts you to any issues that we may be having or just any information that you may need to have. This one was posted 11/29, and you're going to need to remember how you get there, okay? Because I'm going to cut you loose now. I'm going to have you log into COD. I want you to locate that COD processing update that I just referenced. I want you to pull it, open it up, and I want you to find the Dear Colleague letter announcement number that alerts you that we had just posted our new Pell disbursement schedules. So the first person that can tell me what the gen number is will get a treat, okay? But you can't start before I say start. Okay, so go ahead and Christina, cut them loose, and then we'll have people wandering around to help you, so if you need help, just raise your hand. Once you've got the answer, go ahead and holler it out, but you have to really wait to start until we start. Is that right? Is that right? Is it Gen 1601?
Oh, 2017, 2018 schedule. Oh. So the newer one. This was the older awardee.
So did you go to it the way I said, through resources? Mm-hmm. Let's see what you got.
So I was...
Yeah, that should be it. I guess it would help if I knew the answer, wouldn't it? This is it.
Oh.
60. I didn't think it was 1601.
You need to get the
So what's the right answer? Yes. Okay. Okay, I thought I had a winner over here, but they had the wrong gen number, so I'm going to confirm you got the right gen number. What's the right gen number?
Gen 1619.
All right. Gen 1619, we got a winner right over here. So when we're going around, if you need help, raise one hand. If you got the answer, go ahead and raise two hands. Sorry, to make that more clear. Only one winner, but thank you very much. Okay, and who was, it was back here, right? You both.
Ooh, wow. Thank you.
There you go, you're welcome. All right. Now let's get into the real lesson. So we'll grab their computers again. Okay, now if you looked at the presentation before you came today, this is now we're going to be starting the presentation that I posted. All righty. Was that fun? How many of you have ever looked at that COD processing update before? Okay, oh my goodness, I'm so glad my friend and colleague that puts that together every week didn't see how many hands. So seriously, you really need to look at that because we let you know when we're releasing new things for COD. We let you know if there's a problem. For example, if you went back and looked again, you'd see that the Pell yearly totals page has a problem and it doesn't match the funding information data. So you might be scratching your head saying, how come these things don't add up? And if you looked at the resource page, you'd see that we have an issue that we're working on fixing. So please make sure you go there. Okay, if you like the session today, I'm Barb Davis. If you don't, I'm Wood Mason. So when I was putting this together, this is about, I don't know, the 20th year, yeah, at least the 10th year I've done this, I thought, what do schools really want to know about? What can I do that's different this year? And I thought, you know what, schools usually call COD customer service because they might have a rejected record, but bottom line, they really want to know where their money is, because if you have rejects, you're not going to have funding that you need. So we're going to do a little story today, and we're going to take some time going through how to solve the problem of knowing how much money you have and how to fix the issues if you need to see if you have all your disbursements reported or if you and your business office are in sync. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your available balance. There's a difference between your funding level and your available balance, and it also differs depending upon your program type. If you're a direct loan advance funded school, then we give you money in advance. So usually in June at the latest, we'll go ahead and put out an authorization for you for the first half of the year. And then in November, we'll give you what we think you need for the rest of the year. If it's Pell or Teach, or you're not an advance funded direct loan school, then your disbursements drive your authorization. And you have to report disbursements before your funding level will increase. How many of you know how many days early you can report disbursements? Nope, 30 is not the right answer. Nope. How many days early can you report to COD your disbursement? Nope. Oh, this is a good trick question. Did I hear somebody say 7? 7. 7 is the right answer. Hooray! If you have a disbursement that you're going to post to a student's account on December 8th, you can send that actual disbursement to COD on December 1st with a December 8th date. And then the funds will be there for you to draw and have available on the 8th so that you don't have to reimburse yourself. You following me? Okay? You just want to make sure that you don't draw them and have them in your bank account for more than 3 days before you actually post, and that you actually post on the day that you said you were going to post. Yes?
So that would be the days like COPs can be closed for a federal holiday, you have to disperse that day. You can set the date out to be the first to get the money in and then disperse on the day. Like Veterans Day, you guys were closed, and so we can day on 3 days or 7 days, you would send us the money and we can still disperse on that day because the system is still working?
The question was if say like Veterans Day, when COD, it wasn't only COD that you need to worry about, it's also G5, because G5 is the one that's going to put the authorization out there, and G5 was also down on Veterans Day. So let's say you're open on Veterans Day and you wanted to post on Veterans Day. You could report your disbursements in advance and make sure that you report them early enough so that the funds are available in G5, say on the 9th. Go in and draw your funds. You've already reported that you posted on the 11th. Draw your funds on the 9th. They're in your bank account. You won't want to post on the 9th. You don't want to post on the 10th. Make sure you're posting on the 11th because that's when you told us. Otherwise, you got to go back in and change that date. And if you don't, then program compliance will come and make you change it. Okay? All right, so the place where you're going to go to see what your funding level is the funding information screen, and we're going to look at that as well as the school funding history report. The difference between your CFL and your available funds is, if you look at the top there, you'll see the initial CFL. This is a direct loan advance funded school, and this school initially received $88 million and some change. And you can see that the previous CFL was 0, and the change date was 6/17. So this was the initial authorization for the school. We went from 0 to 88 million, and that's their current CFL, because if you look down below the date, you'll see they still have 17 million available that they haven't used up yet. If you look all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that this school drew $71 million. Now, I'm going to clue you into something here, which I promised I wouldn't, but I'm going to do it again 2 days in a row. If I see a school drawing down $71 million, even, I know they didn't disperse $71 million. They might have dispersed $71 million and $5, or $71 million $200, but not $71 million. And if I see that as a pattern, I start looking at that school to see if they are really meeting our cash management regulations. So don't draw down $71 million. And it's not the amount, it's that it's even. So if I see schools that are drawing down $200,000, $500,000, $1 million, I know that they might be drawing down less than they need, and they might think that they're okay, but that covers up whether you're making your adjustments. You really want to make sure you're drawing down at least closer to what you need. Don't be doing these round draws like that. Anyway, to get back to my point here, if you look at what this school has dispersed so far, they've dispersed $75,506,210. They need to draw $4,506,000 to make their draws equal to their disbursements. If you see a negative number on the cash greater than net accepted and posted disbursements, that means you've drawn less than you need in disbursements. Or maybe the business office is right. Do I have any business officers in here? A couple that are brave enough to say so? The business office may be right, and the financial aid office may have reported in disbursements more than they should have, and you may need to do a disbursement adjustment. So it's not always that the business office is wrong. Sometimes they're right. Okay, anything that you can think of that I missed on this screen? Okay. So then let's look at the funding information screen, and here's another example of an advanced funded school. In this case, the school had an initial CFL of 11.4 million, but their current CFL is 115, almost 116 million, and you can see that their previous CFL was about $300,000 short. You can see what the adjustment was, as well as when they made that last change. Now, in this case, the school needs to potentially draw how much money? $13,000, almost $14,000. How much do they have available? 166. Should they draw the whole 166? Why? You only draw for immediate need, right? And it looks like right now their need is about $13,000. It could be that they got another $100,000 in disbursements, so maybe they will draw $113,000, but you should never draw all of your available balance. You should only draw for immediate need, okay? So another point here that I wanted to make is at the bottom of that page, I think it was last year, maybe it was a year ago before that, we added the school funding history report, which is such an awesome report. Again, it's anytime you want it, you can get it. You just have to go and click on this hyperlink, make sure you've chosen the year and the program that you want to look at, and it brings up this awesome screen here that tells you all of your draws and disbursements for that program and that award year. The totals are listed down at the very bottom. In this case, the school's authorization is $2.4 million and some change. This is a Records First school, and I believe when I took the screenshot, it was a foreign school. So they reported a disbursement of $23,970 on 4/28. They reported another disbursement of $23,970 on 5/3, then drew those funds on 5/10, then reported another $56,548, and then drew it. Every time they report, the funds are available and they draw them. Did you all know that if you wanted to be a Records First school, you can request that? Some schools reimburse themselves all the time, even though they're advance funded. They always report disbursements first, and then they draw down whatever got accepted. You can choose to do that. You don't have to be on any kind of heightened cash monitoring or go open a school in Paris, although you might want to. But you can just call customer service and say, you know what, can you change me from advance funded to Records First? And that way you're almost always in sync and you're never unsubstantiated because the only funds for you to draw are those that have been accepted. And you have to fix your rejects in order to get more money. It's a choice. Okay, so we're going to have a practice time again, and I'll give you about 10 minutes. And we're going to log into your school. And it doesn't matter if you're sharing with someone from a different school because this is not PII data, so you can both log in. You're going to locate your school's 2016-17 either direct loan or if you're not a direct loan school, your Pell available balance. If you need help, raise one hand. If you have the answer, raise two hands. And don't start before we let you go. Okay? So once you find the last time it was increased or decreased, and by what amount, raise both hands, okay? And we'll cut you loose. guys ready to go on? I dropped it. I don't. But right here, there's not one right here. Okay, we're going to grab you back and go on to our next session.
Okay. Okay.
Did you grab them? All right. So step 2. So now I've shown you how to find out how much money you have available. And we remember that you don't necessarily need to draw it all, especially if you're advance funded. You only draw what you need. Okay, so let's move to the second step. And maybe you don't have enough money because you reported disbursements, but they didn't get accepted. So they didn't increase your CFL. So let's find out how to look at our rejected records. Remember when I showed you the batch menu and that you can look by a date range, or you can do an award search, or batch search, I'm sorry, or you can look by SSN? That's where you go to look for your rejected records. Or you can run a report from within your software. Most of you probably have school software that you use that will run a report for all your rejects. But you can also look on the COD website. You also need to know what that reject means and how to fix it. So we're going to talk about that as well. So we're going to the batch menu. And in the batch menu, you currently can do a date range search for up to 60 days. We're going to change that to 1 day. No, I'm teasing. We're going to expand it to, Accenture, can you guys help me here? Is it 120 days or 90 days? The batch search? I think we're expanding it. 120? Yeah, it's going to be big. So if you're a big school, don't do that, because you will bring back pages and pages and pages of batches. But you can go here to see your a date range search, or if you go down below at the very bottom, you can enter an SSN and you can do an SSN search. We're going to do a very narrow date range search because I am thinking, hey, I submitted records last week and I should have seen an increase and I didn't see that increase, so I'm going to look at the batches that I did last week. Going to the batch menu. I'm not going to look at the top ones because the top ones are system-generated batches from studentloans.gov. You can tell because two things. The batch ID ends in zeros, lots of zeros and a 1, and that's a system-generated batch. And you can also tell by the type. SP is for a plus application. PN is promissory notes. AC is teach entrance counseling. DL entrance counseling, and then you've got that payment to servicing. Remember how I showed you the additional borrower eligibility? We send you a notification. You just might not look at it, but anyway, we tell you if a student made a payment. We want to go look specifically in this case down to the RSs, which are responses, and you can see that this school sends their Pell and direct loan data separately. If they sent their Pell and direct loan data together, then you would see common in that column instead of PL or DL. So if we click on one of those batches, it takes us into a top part which will give you the summary information of what's in that batch. And we want to look for the dollar amount of the rejected records. And you can see here this school sent in and had accepted $121,130 or $313, but they had $6,500 that rejected. So that might be the $6,500 you're missing. So let's go down to the bottom, and we're going to filter by status rejected, because we don't want to, I mean, we're delighted and we're having a little party for all the records that accepted, but we don't need to worry about those, right? We want to worry about the ones that rejected. So we're going to filter by reject, and then look at our rejected records. You can click on any word in those columns that says rejected, and it'll pull up the same information. And it'll tell you, and this is a Pell example, the previous screen was direct loan, but it'll tell you exactly why the record rejected. Now notice the top one, the edit status is a warning. There's a difference between a warning and a reject. A warning says, heads up, pay attention. Did you mean to do this? Or in this case, this student is close to their lifetime eligibility, and at 600%, they're done. But the bottom one is a reject. It didn't build. In this case, the student isn't even Pell eligible. So you may not be able to fix it, or it could be you have one of those favorite of my students who thinks because they're a high school graduate that they are a graduate student. And so they put graduate on their FAFSA and so become Pell ineligible. And you may need to counsel with that student and saying, we are so excited that you finished high school, but you are not a graduate student yet. Please correct your FAFSA. Okay? So now we have the edit code number 38, but we don't really know what to do with it. So then you're going to want to go to the COD technical reference, which you can find on IFAP. So if you go to IFAP, ifap.ed.gov, and then you click on Publications, and then pull that up, you can see that all of our publications are posted there, and you'll find the COD technical reference. Click on the COD technical reference, go down to Volume 2, and you'll see our Edits section. If you click on the edits, then you can go in there and you can see the edit number, if it's a reject or a warning, R for reject, W for warning, the message that you would normally see, why it would happen, and then how to fix the record. Now I picked this one particularly because we have a new edit that we just put in place, and a number of you are hitting this edit. And it's for 16-17 and forward. So any maintenance that you're doing to 16-17 right now, you might also hit it. And it's if you reported your academic year too short. So a number of you are reporting a single term academic year. And it's okay to do a single term loan, like a summer only, fall only, spring only, intersession only. But your academic year has to be your school's definition of an academic year, which has to meet our regulatory requirements. So if you are a clock hour school, we're looking at a minimum of, I think it's 26 weeks, 24, 26. If you're a credit hour school, you gotta have 30 weeks. And that is not 15 days. At least in my book, it's not. And I see some 15-day academic years, and you're gonna hit this reject. Some schools, yesterday we had a school that found their edit 46, and what had happened is when the student withdrew, they corrected for SULA what they're supposed to do. They changed the loan period to just be from September to November. They changed the loan amount from $3,500 to $1,750. They changed the pending disbursement in the future to 0, but they also changed the academic year from September to November, which is wrong because then the student is still charged for a year's worth of SULA instead of a half or a third of the year worth of SULA. So the correction should not have been done to the academic year, never done to the academic year, only to the award period length, and it should be the end of the term, not the end when the student withdrew, end of the term. Okay? All right, we're gonna have some practice time again, and in this case, since you're gonna be looking at PII data, if you're sitting with someone from your school, you can do what it says at the top. If you're not sitting with someone from your school, then you're going to do the bottom exercise. The top exercise, you're going to log into COD and you're going to do either a date range or an SSN search. You're going to identify a rejected record and you're going to find the reject reason in COD on the COD technical reference. And once you've done that, 2 hands. Or if you're sharing with someone from another school, you're going to go to the technical reference. You're going to find edit codes 140 and 141. You're going to locate the June, this is a hint, the June 2016 electronic announcement on how to fix these records. And when you found that, raise 2 hands. So whoever gets it first gets a candy bar. You're free to go. So I'm guessing that next year I need to go to Costco and buy like a case of candy bars because you guys will work for candy bars. Everybody wants credit. Let me give you a hand if you looked at your records and you did not find any rejects. That is so awesome. Wonderful. You did good. You did good. But I don't have 120 candy bars right now. So, did you have a question? Okay. Okay, if you're still working, go ahead, you can still work. But I want to show you guys something. First, I want to tell you something before I forget, and then I want to show you something. So if you, I didn't want to give you the impression that if you estimate a draw and you do it like, once or twice a year, and you draw $5 million even, that it's going to like raise all these flags. I'm saying if you always, every time you draw, it's 5 million, a million, 250 million, 500,000, 100. It's always, every time you draw, it's even. It's going to make me think you might be doing something wrong. You might not be. But that is not normal. So we have an example of a school that would, they're a large school, and they think they're going to draw $60 million. They think that's what they're going to need approximately, so they draw $60 million. And then when they confirm attendance and everything, the next week they draw what they still needed. That's okay. It's also okay to draw just a little bit less than you need so that you don't have to continually refund money, but you don't want to let that go the whole year. By the end of the year, you should have tidied that up so that you've drawn exactly what you needed, okay? I just didn't want to cause any confusion there. The other thing is that some of you may not have known how to find that electronic announcement on 140. So I just wanted to show you here, if you haven't gone to IFAP, you go to iLibrary, and then you're going to want to scroll down, and I don't have my glasses on, so forgive me here. I should have put them on, to the electronic announcements. And then I gave you a hint that it was 2016. And I gave you another hint that it was June. And now it's when I really need the glasses. Now I really need the glasses. It's June 20th, right? June, did you say June 2nd? Boy, do I need reading glasses. Anyway, this is how you would go to find it. Every year, at least as long as sequestration is keeping us company, we tell you about the fee changes and how to fix them. And every year, we still have a ton of schools hitting edit code 140 and 141. So, helpful hint. You may have originated at the beginning of the year with the correct fee, and you might have originated with a date prior to October 1st, but you've got those straggler students that didn't complete verification or didn't do X, Y, or Z. So you didn't disperse for those students, and now they're okay and you're going to disperse after October 1st, but you have to change their fees. Where did I tell you that you could go to run a pending disbursement list to see what's still pending? Action queue. So end of September, middle of September, go to the action queue for that award year, run a pending disbursement list, see who's still pending that may be getting a disbursement after October 1st. Fix the records. Put the new disbursement, put the new origination fee in, and then you won't hit edit 141, 141, 140, 141. That's your tip of the day. That's your instead of a candy bar tip. Okay, now that I totally messed this up, let's see if I can get you back into where we need to go.
We have a question.
Okay, yes.
If we're going to keep with the interest of loan fee, why can't COD just change it, after October 1st? I mean, I had to change over 800 students manually. I mean, it's easier to award the student in the beginning of the year than changing it, and we're changing for something that's not even worth a penny.
I think that's an excellent question. We do, where are we? We are, you can hear, okay. We do go ahead and, once we know what the fees are, if you have reported anything that has a disbursement date after October 1st, we do change those for you, but we don't know if you're going to disperse on those ones that you reported with a date prior, and now you're going to disperse after. So we can't fix them for you.
The old ones, we have old ones that are, it's after October 1st. They're still with the old interest rate. So when we pay out, they're going to stay with the old interest rate because we didn't change it. And we get a rejection. We go and correct them, but the question is, why can't those be fixed?
Right. Her question, in case you couldn't hear, is she has disbursements that are still at a pending status that were reported with a date prior to October 1st. And, then she has to disperse after October 1st, and she has to fix them all, and she's asking why we can't fix them for her. And the reason we can't fix them for you is because we don't know what your disbursement date is going to be. Maybe you just didn't report for somebody that you should have reported for in June, and now you're going to disperse. We don't know for every school what you're doing, so that's the answer to your question about why we don't automatically fix those for you. Sorry. Okay. Unless I need to correct that answer, but I think that answer is the right answer. Okay. So, how am I doing for time? And this is over at 1 something? 1:05. Okay. Moving right along. All right, last one. Let's put this all together. So let's look at the action queue for pending disbursements. There's some other places that you can go to find out if you have got all the disbursements reported that you wanted to have reported. The actual disbursement list, remember when I showed you your school news box? That's where you can go and get your actual disbursement list. So every week, if you have reported disbursements, we put a list of everybody that was accepted in COD. So some schools that choose to be records first go ahead and report their disbursements. They get their actual disbursement list. They give it to their business office, and they say, here's who got accepted. These are the ones you need to draw and post for, and I need to work on the rest. You can also go to your news box, and you may think you were going along swimmingly with Pell, and then all of a sudden you're not reconciled anymore, and it's because you popped with another school. Anybody know what a Pell Pop is? Does anybody get a Pell Pop from time to time? Yeah? It's when a student is reported at 100% or over 100% at two or more schools for the same award year. You can also go to your news spot or go to COD and request a disbursement detail on demand report. Have any of you requested a disbursement detail on demand report? Oh my goodness, some of you. Some of you are willing to admit that you did. Okay, you get your school account statement monthly. This is a report that you can go in and request and say, I want last week's worth of data, I want last month's worth of data, I want the last 2 months worth of data, I want everything year to date, and it will be the disbursement data, not cash, disbursement data. You can request it anytime you want. You don't have to wait for the SAS to come. There's also a Pell year-to-date disbursement report that you can request. Same thing. You can report that anytime you want it. And like I told you before, if you choose flat file and then you have those readers that you've downloaded, import it into the reader and you've got lickety-split, a wonderful Excel spreadsheet that you can work with and manipulate. Yes.
On the demand, what mailbox does it?
It goes to your SAIG mailbox.
The main one that's connected to.
It goes to whichever one you have connected to your COD data.
Okay, because there's some, like we have ours, I wanted to use it, but I can't because I don't have access to that mailbox.
Goes to your COD, the box that you have associated with your COD records, direct loan and Pell. Okay, action queue. So you're going to use that action queue to determine if you have pending disbursements that, yes, in the back.
The Pell year-to-date, is that the same as the school yearly total figures? Are those going to be the same?
The total amount should be the same. The year-to-date is the disbursement level data of the Pell, and the reconciliation file is the summary level data. So the Pell year-to-date will have Barbara Davis received $2,500 September 1st and another $2,500 January 1st. And the Recon report, Pell Recon, will have Barbara Davis received $5,000.
Well, you know, you showed on the screen where you could see the school's yearly total.
Right.
Is that
The-
figure going to be the same as the Pell year-to-date total?
The totals should match. And if they don't, then you may have an issue and you want to talk to customer service about that. Okay, action queue. We talked about looking for pending disbursements. It's a great tool for you to use to see if you still have any pendings that should have been accepted or that you need to zero out. You want to choose a disbursement date range that's well before your processing start date and then make the status equal to your pending disbursement. So here I am in the action queue. I'm going to see if I've cleaned up 1516. So I chose 1516. I didn't start processing till June, so I'm just going to go back to March. And I'm going to go March until the current date, now when I made the screenshot anyway. I'm going to make the disbursement status equal to pending, and then I'm going to click search. And I just want you all to know that I do know that it should be Pebbles Flintstone, but Pebbles and Bam Bam, you know, got married. So there you go. Then I have all my lists, and here's only one page. I had a total of 530 records. I can either scroll to the next page, but what's really cool is I can export this to CSV, which takes me to an Excel spreadsheet. And then you see how I have all those zeros there, which I really don't want to see. I can right-click the top row, add a filter to all of the rows, then filter by just take out all the zeros. And I also filtered because I only want to look at my loans. And then I have all of my loans that still are pending that should have been reported as dispersed or should have been zeroed out. Okay? You can also, as I have mentioned, go to your school's news box. And sorry, I went too fast. Shall I go back? Right? By clicking on COD reports. You can, in this case, I chose a direct loan news box. You can look at your actual disbursement list. It's generated weekly on a Saturday, so you'll find it on Sunday or Monday if you work on Sunday. But on Monday anyway, if you had disbursements from the previous week, you'll pull up that whole list. You can do a total of what you reported and what you had accepted to see if it matches what you thought you were going to draw. If not, you might have some disbursements that rejected. Or you can also, another place that I mentioned, you can look for your Pell POPs and see if we took away some money from you because you didn't resolve a POP that you had. We post these online for you. In this case, you can see your school. You can also see the school you popped with. As you know, we'll take those funds away from both schools for the entire year if you don't resolve it within 30 days. So you know when it started and how much time you got to work with that other school to get that fixed. What you may not know is that if you keep popping with a school repeatedly, like 3 times, and you've contacted them and you've tried to work with them, you can call COD customer service and they'll escalate it to an FSA person who will resolve it for you. And it might not be in your favor, you never know, but we will get it fixed. You can also look on the Pell person page or the person page and go to the Pell record. In this case, the way the schools resolved it is one school kept all the money and the other school got nothing. As I mentioned, you can go and request reports from the batch menu. Make sure it defaults to request search, which although I know it does that, I forget every single time I go there. So you want to make sure you're going to new report request. And this is where you would request your Pell year to date. Make sure you choose the award year and your campus, and it's going to go to your SAIG mailbox. This is where you'd also request your SAS disbursement detail on demand. And as I mentioned, if you want to use those readers, make sure you choose fixed length. Okay, last one. You're going to, if you are with someone from your school, you're going to log into COD, you're going to go to the action queue, you're going to see if you have any 15, 16 disbursements that are still pending. You're going to export it to CSV and filter out the zeros. You're then going to go to the services menu and look for either your POP report or an actual disbursement list and raise both hands once you've completed both tasks. Or if you're sharing, you're going to go to the technical reference. You're going to go to the reports section, which I didn't tell you where that was, but it's in the tech ref. You're going to identify which 4 Pell reports are available both through your SAIG mailbox and on the COD website. It's on page 24. And I think it's the 16-17, not the 15-16. And you're also going to identify which 2 direct loan reports and 1 direct loan file you can only get through your SAIG mailbox. Okay? So if you're sharing with someone from a different school, this is your job. Okay? Do you need the first screen or the second screen? I'll go back and forth. You get, second screen people, you know what you need to do, right? To get started. Okay, there you go. Whoops, back too far. There you go. So one other thing, if you don't already have your, so sorry, I'm so sorry. If you, just as a hint for the future, download the application so you don't have to carry your little red token with you. It's a pain in the neck. But you can download it's VIP access to your phone, and it generates a token for you. And I mean, mine's just on my desk, and I'm just constantly, because COD times out, every 15 minutes, VIP access. Get it from the App Store. VIP access. And it's white. It's like a white square with a gold circle and a check mark. And it's the one for COD. It's not the one for G5. I'm, I'm sorry? No, once you link this, it does deactivate your hard token, so you won't be able to use it. But this is really the way I'd go, because you've always got your phone. And we had a winner. Actually, it was, yeah, here. Okay, which one did you do? Thank you very, very much for coming. I really appreciate it. Remember, if you liked the presentation, I'm Barb. If you didn't, I'm Wood.
Oh, that sounds great, but no, I have to call my husband and chat with the family for a little
We
bit.
got
So
about
you'll have
5
to-
minutes or so in the room before we have to leave. Thank you.